So I have heard the story of an alcoholic. So that alcoholic, he has to drink every day. His wife gets very angry and shouts at him. Then he promises her, tomorrow onwards I will not drink. But as per the habit, he goes in the night, has a drink. By the time he comes back, it's very late night. He falls into a ditch. He is very hurt, all injured. He comes home. The wife is sleeping. He quietly opens the door, goes to the bathroom, puts the plaster of Paris, band-aid for all his face, and then goes to sleep. Next day morning, his wife gets up and sees the husband. She is very angry. She takes one bucket of water and pours it on his face. This guy gets up. Why are you pouring? I didn't drink alcohol. She says, you didn't drink alcohol? Then how did you get injured? I fell down. So then she catches hold of his collar and takes him to bathroom and shows him the band-aid. Band-aid is there in the mirror. So injury is in the face, the band-aid is in the mirror. So this is the state of affairs. When we don't know ourselves, when we have wrong understanding of ourselves, we get injured. But we try to fix the problem elsewhere. So the entire spiritual teaching, Sri Shankaracharya says, people in the world are Maya Madira Pitaha. We are drunk with the alcohol called Maya. It's an alcohol. In that alcohol, we forget ourselves. The entire spiritual journey is to discover myself. It is about Atma Dhnana. So we learn about Brahman, Jagat, everything. Finally, it is about myself. Who am I? So this is Vedanta. So Vedanta is a knowledge about yourself. Okay? Knowledge about who am I? So that knowledge we are going to study in a very systematic way. So let me start a small presentation. So from the time immemorial, people have said, know thyself. The Socrates, Greek philosopher. So the famous question Ramana Maharshi asks is, who am I? Now, who am I? Is it such a big problem to understand? Is it such a complex thing to understand? It must be very simple because the question is about me. Okay, but why these people are saying, who am I? Because if I know myself, I am able to understand and deal with life in a much better way. Right now, I don't have understanding of myself. Is it surprising? So when I say I, there are three identities for me. The outermost identity for me is a social identity. Who am I? I'm a husband, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor. These are my social identities. So these social identities are not permanent. They can go. A doctor can lose his job. An engineer can lose his job. So people say, I'm a man, I'm a smart man. The same people can come and say, you're an idiot. The social identity keeps on changing based on the society perception. So what society thinks of me is my social identity. Now, most of the people start living that this is me. Oh, who am I? I'm an actor. I'm a businessman. So that identity becomes strong. But what we don't understand is this identity is very weak. I'm an engineer. Over a period of time, I may lose my job. I'm no more an engineer. I'm a husband. There may be divorce. Then I'm no longer a husband. So social identity is weak. So I am a father. So the children may love me. Tomorrow the children may not see my face. The social identity is weak. It can hurt me. Now, then there's a personal identity. What society thinks of me is one identity. What I think of myself is personal identity. What do I think of myself? Yeah, I'm a great singer. I've not seen you singing. I sing in the bathroom. The society does not know. So I know myself. I don't know. The society does not me. It's also identity. See, I'm a very smart person. My boss doesn't know. I'm not getting promotion. This is what I know about myself. This is also identity. Okay, this identity is also weak because this identity is also relative. Okay, now there is deep within me, there's my real identity. Who am I? So this who am I have never had an opportunity to explore in my life because I didn't even know that such identity exists, the real I. So that's why all great beings, Socrates, Ramana Maharshi, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads tell us, find out your real self. Who are you? So now, don't think that finding out the real self is like this. It's not simple because our identity is buried. Real identity is buried in this social identity, personal identity. Our identity is buried. Deep identity is buried. So that buried identity has to be uncovered in a step-by-step way. The Vedanta is a system of teaching which opens up gradually our identity, and the buried identity, what is my real nature, surfaces to myself. It's not for others. So what is this? I call it as discovering yourself or Atma Darshana. So this monthly classes, I call it as Atma Darshana or discovering yourself. So this is not a new class. Whatever you are studying in Vedanta study circle, I'm just bringing some framework in this monthly classes. So now, if I ask you, just think about yourself. What will you tell? If I ask you, who are you? What will you tell? What is your answer? So most of the people have an answer. I'm an engineer. I'm a doctor. I've been working for 20 years. I'm a musician. I'm a housewife. Okay. I'm husband. I'm father. So now these are all your biodata. Biodata, most of us start living, I am the biodata. Are you the biodata? So tomorrow, you are saying that I am an engineer. Will you be engineer for all your life? There will be one point of time will come, you will retire, then you are not an engineer. I have heard a story of a very powerful CEO. So he was so happy that he is a CEO. He is a CEO of a multinational company. He gets retired and moves into an apartment complex. There are many people he doesn't want to meet because they're all lower level people. They're all ordinary people. He is a CEO of a multinational company and he doesn't want to talk to everybody. So then one person sees his fate, he sees them and calls him, tells him, do you want to know me? I am the Supreme Court judge. I was the Supreme Court judge. And this person, he was the advisor to Prime Minister of India. Okay, now nobody can recognize us. We are all retired. We are all like fused bulbs. Bulb is useful when this light is there. After fusing of the bulb, there's no bulb is useless. We are all fused bulbs now. So come, join us. You are also that. You may be a multinational CEO. Now you are a fused bulb. So don't have your ego. So what we consider, what we claim to be what we are, will all vanish over a period of time. So then what is real I only will remain. What is that real I? That real I is we are questioning. Who am I? Everything can go, but real I will stay. And that what is that real I? What can I call as my own, which will never change? That real I we are searching. That's Vedanta. So in English, we have a beautiful word called human being. It's a compound of two words, human and being. In Sanskrit, we call it as Jiva Atma. It's a compound of two words. So now, what is this human and what is the being? Most of our life, We believe we are a human. So we are focused as body, mind, and energy, intellect and energy. That's called Jiva in Sanskrit. But we forget that we are Atma, being. That's a presence or consciousness. So the entire Vedanta is the study of this being, discovering this being in us. What am I? Really, am I a human, or am I a being, or a combination of both? So what happens? All our life we believe that we have a human body, which is body, mind, and intellect. When somebody dies, recently one of my friends passed away, died by corona. So nobody wants to touch the body. They want, even relatives don't come. That body is buried by the municipal people. So if your body, people should keep it in your house and give respect. You are not a body. You are something which is there in the body, something which is giving life to the body. That is called being. So that being we are neglecting throughout our life. Vedanta is understand your being. That's your real worth. The being is your real worth. The body, mind, and intellect is just a vehicle. Atma is your real worth. So, but we are thinking that we are a Jiva. In fact, we are a combination of Jiva and Atma. We are called Jivatma. And Jiva forgets the Atma and starts living as an independent entity. Recognize the Atma, the self, and that is real life. The real life opens up with that. That's what is Vedanta. So when I say I am human, we are all speaking of this only: the body, the legs, lung, liver, head, chest, and the mind. And what I am really, the Atma, is the consciousness, Chaitanyam. So now the entire what is there between these two is what we call as the ego, a small I. The small I is covering that big I, or the big I we have forgotten because of small I. So entire Vedanta is to discover the falsehood of the small I and discover the real I. So that's why all Upanishads, Vedanta teachers, they are called Mahavakyas. There are many Mahavakyas. Vedanta and Upanishad is full of Mahavakyas. Each sentence is Mahavakya. But there are some selected Mahavakyas to give us a confidence that all Vedas are speaking the same truth. Pradnanam Brahma. The awareness is the supreme reality. Awareness is the reality. It comes from Rigveda. Tattvamasi, you are, the real you is that Atma. Real you is that Brahman. That means you are that supreme reality. You are that pure awareness. Now what we are thinking, I am a small body, mind, and intellect. I am that infinite self, Brahman. That's Tattvamasi. So then, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the Brahman. It comes from Yajurveda. So these are the teachings of Vedas. In our whole life, we have not studied Vedas. Vedas are too big, too many. We have not studied Upanishads, which are summary of Vedas. We have not studied Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so the study of Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita gives us a clear idea of my real nature. And we are undertaking a systematic study of these scriptures. And that is the journey of Vedanta Study Circle. So now, what is the benefit of that? The benefit of that is there are two sides, left side and right side. In left side, I have put a ignorant person, a person who does not know who he is, real life. So the Atma and right side is a Gnani or a wise person. In Vedanta, we call him as a Sthira Prajna or enlightened one. So for both of them, Atma is common, Jivatma is common, human being part is common. So what is the difference? The Jiva part, Jiva is, that's an ego. The ego controls the intellect, and intellect controls the manas, the lower part of the mind. The whole life is driven by the ego. Okay, so the mind, because ego always lives in the past or future. Ego is always fearful. It's always worried about the past, your future. It's always worried. It is always regretting the past. It lives in the past and future. So this person is constantly under stress. Past, future, worries, memories, imagination, all this occupies mind. The life is stressful, and such a life is called samsari. So now, if we are able to establish Atmadnana, a systematic way, who am I really? So then the ego gets purified. It's no longer ego. It merges one with the Atma. So then what happens? The intellect is a pure intellect. And that comes under the guidance of intellect, comes under the guidance of Atma and Manas. So the Atma is the Brahman, supreme reality, God, Paramatma. So recognizing I am the Atma is the real spiritual journey. So here the person who has not knowledge, Adnana, he believes he is a body, he is a mind, he is intellect. Okay. So Vedanta is a systematic way, gives a negation process, one by you negate and find out your true identity, Atma, and Atma is infinite self, Brahman. This process is called Nanu Nanembudu Nanalla, Ideha Manabuddhi Nanalla, Sachidanandatma Shivananu Nane, Shivoham, Shivoham. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm pure consciousness, Shiva Sarupi. So one who is established in that is called Sthita Pradna, Jiva. He is this both the people are called Jivatma because it's a combination of Jiva and Atma, a human being. But this person is Mahatma because the Jiva he has recognized is the infinite self. Now he is no longer limited to body and mind. He is the infinite self, Paramatma, one with Paramatma. Jivatma, Paramatma, Ekatvam is the message of Bhagavad Gita, message of Upanishads. And that's what we are trying to discover in the Vedanta study circle. And that's what we are trying to do this Atmarshan program. So that's what is our real spiritual journey. So just to take a quick bird's eye view. When we are born, we stay 9 months in the mother's womb. And that 9 months is a sort of comfortable journey. There's no stress for food, hunger, thirst. It's a peaceful, everything is provided for. So when the child is born, the needs of the child are taken care by the mother. The child is also blissful. Before birth, you are blissful. After birth, you are blissful. But when we grow up, we become stressful. Our mind becomes full of thoughts. So what has happened to us from birth to adulthood? Our mind is accumulated, it become heavy. So I can give you an analogy of an Amazon. In Amazon, we order a mobile phone. So Amazon delivers the mobile phone. When the mobile phone is delivered, it's well packaged. And when you open up, the manufacturer gives a guarantee it works like a product as designed. So then you use the product. If the product is good, you'll use it. Or if the product is not good, you'll reject it. So, but if you use the product and damage the product, the manufacturer will not accept it. So when we come from the universe, Bhagwan, existence, the product quality is guaranteed, the bliss. So every child is blissful, whether the child has a deformity or not, the child is blissful. The bliss is what is guaranteed by the universe. As we grow up from bliss, our life will be mess. Why? This is because the ignorance, Adnana. So the entire process of Vedanta is to uncover this Adnana and become blissful. So now, as we grow up, we become like this. And if we die like this, we go back to the manufacturer, Bhagwan, and Bhagwan said, this is not how I sent it. You go back. It is returned. The product is returned. So that's why we call it as Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jatrashanam. Again and again, we have to take birth to discover real bliss, our real nature. Cycle of birth and death is to discover our real nature before we die. So I am giving an example. When you are born to your parents, how many children are born? Just imagine. Don't talk about your brothers and sisters. When you are born to your parents, how many children are born? You are only born one. See, when we say I am born, it's a child. We are speaking of human body as the birth. The body is not me. The being is me. So the parents contribute one cell each from father and mother. Entire contribution to your life is one cell from the father and mother. The one cell became two, two cell became four, four cell became a meatball, and you started developing eyes and ears. Who made that? That is the universal energy Shakti, Divine Mother. So then who gave the consciousness being? The consciousness came from Shiva. So now, because the consciousness is there, you are not one child. The child is a physical body. Comes from the biological parents. So biological parents are my parents. Then I have a divine parent who created my body and gave me consciousness, Chaitanyam. So then as I grow up, another child comes into picture. That's the mind. The mind is a noisy child. It comes from the society. All sorts of programming, conditioning happens. Religious conditioning, social conditioning, spiritual conditioning, so many conditionings. So we are actually a combination of three children. The consciousness or being, the human, which is the body, and the mind, which is a society child. Out of these, the divine child, consciousness has no problem. That's why all children are blissful. So it's we call children as God. The human child has a problem. Human child has hunger, thirst, some pain, disease. But the society child has always problem. We start believing that we are the society child. We start believing that we are the mind. So if I ask you, who is your father? You'll say, father, my father is so and so, biological father and mother. But we forget our real father and mother, which is consciousness, Chaitanyam, being. And real mother who created this body, not only she created the body, divine mother, she is operating my body throughout the day. My heartbeat, my lungs, my breath, my eyes, my ears, everything is functioning because of universal energy. So divine mother, divine father is one parent. Biological mother, biological father is another parent. And human, the society is another parent. Society is many. So society has always problem. The divine society child is always problem. So we start living as a society child. Can we go back and become divine child when we are alive? Can we recognize my divinity? The way I came to the world as a blissful child. Can I become that? That is what is called Mukti, Jivan Mukti, enlightenment. So this is my state, a mess, a state of bliss to recognize by recognizing who am I. So this is the process of Vedanta. Vedanta is a study about yourself. You may learn about Brahman, Ishvara, Jagat and all. Finally, they are all secondary. The primary goal of Vedanta is to recognize your true self. They are all helpful. Brahman, Jiva, Maya, all these things will help because they are required, because we are conditioned to so much about the society, by the society. Finally, Vedanta is about Tattvamasi. You are Brahman, Shivoham. So that recognition is Vedanta. So Vedanta has, the process of Vedanta is a Jnana Yoga. Please understand, there are different yogas, Kriya Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, so many yogas. We are speaking of Jnana Yoga. So the process of Jnana is first is Shravana. They listen to the teaching of Vedanta. Now, why we should listen to the Vedanta? Vedanta comes from Bhagavan, Sriman Narayana, Sadashiva. It was passed on to Rishis. It is passed on to Acharyas, Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya. So that the wisdom we have to know. Who am I? Because the creator, Ishvara, has to give us our knowledge about ourselves. The manufacturer has to tell us, who am I? So that knowledge is Vedanta. So the Vedamata, out of love and compassion, through 10 Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, she tells us, Tattvamasi, you are that. Just 3 words. Don't think that these 3 words are simple to understand. Because it is very, very simple. That's what I am. But we are so much conditioned with society and environment and our past life impressions. This understanding becomes difficult. So then Guru comes into picture. So Guru tries to uncover the Vedantic truth in a way we can understand. So Vedamata gives us the truth. The Guru unveils the truth. Both are required. Guru and Vedamata are required. The Vedamata, Vedas or Upanishads is the science of consciousness. Who am I? So the consciousness has to be told to us by a realized master. So that realized master is called Brahmanishta. One who is realized is called Brahmanishta. So that Brahmanishta, when you listen to teaching from Brahmanishta, the Vedantic teaching, our understanding becomes crystal clear. So that's why we need two things, Shrotriyam and Brahmanishta. The teaching has to come from Vedas, is called Shrotriya. The Guru has to be well versed in teaching through illustrations, examples, stories. The way he communicates the truth will go deeper into you. That's why he's Shrotriya, and he himself should be realized, Brahmanishta. This is the requirement. Then we should have faith in that teaching. That faith will strengthen our understanding. So this I call it as planting a seed. So the seed will be planted. Seed of Vedantic teaching is systematically planted in the study of Vedanta. So then the seed is planted, the weed has to be removed. Wrong understanding, wrong ideas. Where did it come from? It comes from society, it comes from our upbringing, it comes from our previous vasanas, impressions. There, that weed has to be removed. That's called manana. So this removal process, manana, is removing all our doubts so that we get a crystal clarity in Vedanta teaching. I am Brahman, I am Purnoham, Muktoham, I am liberated. This thought has to be strengthened. So now then we have to meditate on this thought. I am Brahman, Purnoham, Muktoham. So then what will happen? All our vasanas will come and impact us. So we have to systematically get rid of vasanas and get established in Nididhyasa. Nidhi means wealth. Getting established in the truth is called Nididhyasa. So this Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa process, it's like growing a plant. This strengthening the thought, I am Brahman. Until this thought has to be strengthened, until a point the thought is no longer required. This is the process of Gnana Yoga, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa. Now, how long Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa has to be done? Is it one time, two time? The Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa is a continuous process. It is not one-time process. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa, it will converge. But when as your doubts as mind becomes more and more doubt-free, all impressions are gradually getting dropped. The firm conviction, I am Brahman, is there. Then after that, I am Brahman conviction thought also drops. So this is the point where your Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa will come to an end. Then you are established in the truth. One who is established in truth is called Brahmanishta, or he is also called Gnananishta, or he is called Sthitaprajna. Until we attain that state of Sthitaprajna, the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa process has to continue. It may take months, years, we don't know. That depends on how much previous karma you have, previous vasanas you have, how much deep-rooted impressions you have. So now, the moment I say Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa, don't start thinking that these are 3 steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. It is not like 3 steps of a staircase. I'll do Shravana and then I'll do Manana and Nididhyasa. Entire Vedanta is about Nididhyasa. So you have to understand what is Nididhyasa. Nidhi means wealth. Dhyasa means my attention has to constantly go to the wealth. What is the wealth? I am Brahman. I am pure consciousness. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the intellect. I am pure consciousness. I am Brahman. The Shravana strengthens that process, strengthens the thought by giving the inputs from Vedanta and Guru's teaching. Manana gives you the confidence by removing doubts. Nididhyasa, you internalize the thought. Now the entire thing is only one process called Nididhyasa. They may appear 3 different steps, but when you do Shravana, Guru is teaching you, Nididhyasa is happening. So don't be under the impression that Nididhyasa means I'll sit my eyes closed for 10 hours and I'll get a Nididhyasa. Nididhyasa has to happen throughout the day. So it can happen when you sit with eyes closed also. Nididhyasa is a continuous process. It's a 24/7 process. When you listen to the teaching, Nididhyasa happens. When you do Manana, Nididhyasa happens. When you sit silently, Nididhyasa happens. So Nididhyasa is the process. So then the Vedanta has a system. It is a very systematic way of understanding this. There are Shravana Granthas, the Granthas which are focused on listening to the truth. So there are Prakarana Granthas or foundation texts. Real Shravana, we have to do Shrutis, Upanishads, Isha, Kena, Mundaka, Mandukya, all these Upanishads, 10 plus Upanishads are there. There are 108 Upanishads, but 10 plus are major. Now these Upanishads contain the thoughts of revelations to Rishis from Narayana, Sadashiva. So these thoughts to understand, we need a background. Sri Shankaracharya gives a background in the form of Advaita. Ramanujacharya gives a background in the form of Vishishtadvaita, and Madhvacharya gives a background in the Dvaita. So this background is required. Without background, what happens? This understanding becomes weak for us. Even Bhagavad Gita, we need to have background of the philosophy behind this system. So the background is called Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, Advaita. In this class, we are studying Sri Shankaracharya's teachings of Advaita. So then for that, for us to understand the background, Shankaracharya has created some texts called Prakarana Granthas. Tattva Bodha, Vivek Chudamani, Upadesha Sahasri, Atma Bodha. So you have started with Tattva Bodha. There are many more Granthas. So like that. Then there are Manana Granthas. What is the difference between Shravana Grantha and Manana Grantha? Shravana Grantha is receiving the input from Shastras, scriptures and Guru. Manana Grantha is applying our logic. Manana Grantha is more logic oriented. Shastra say, I am Brahman. Am I really Brahman? The world is Mithya. Why world is Mithya? Why cannot be world Satya? So these questions, hundreds and thousands of questions are raised in Manana Grantha. In fact, all possible questions we can think of are raised here. So Manana Grantha is Advaita Makaranta is a Manana Grantha. Brahma Sutra is a very, very solid Manana Grantha. Ramana Maharshi's teaching, Who am I? Is an inquiry, Manana Grantha. Teachings of Atmananda Krishna Menon is a Manana Grantha. Ashtavakra Gita is a Manana Grantha. Then there are very, very deep study Granthas like Siddhi Grantha, Advaita Siddhi, Naishkarmya Siddhi. These Granthas are there to remove our doubts. So the mind becomes completely doubt-free. Completely all doubts are gone. I am Brahman. The thought is crystal clear. In the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. Then there is a Nididhyasa. Nididhyasa Grantha is only one, Drak Drashya Viveka. So in this Vedanta study circle, we are going to study some of these. Now, what is the purpose of this whole study? When will the study end? When you attain Atmanishta or self-realization. The self-realization is when you are established. No, I am able to sit for 10 hours in meditation. That's not self-realization. That's meditation. Self-realization is when you are in the waking state or dream state or deep sleep state, irrespective of the state, or in Samadhi, you know you are Brahman. How clearly you know? Just like I know I am a man, just like I know I am a husband. That much of clarity, I am Brahman. That conviction, that clarity, and that peace is Advaita Siddhi or self-realization. So Advaita Siddhi is not a mental state, sitting for 5 hours, sitting for 10 hours. That also required, that's a practice. But realization is called Sahaja Samadhi, natural state. So you are interacting with society, you are interacting with husband, you are interacting with family, anywhere you are, you will never forget I am a body. Just like that, you will live with the understanding I am Brahman wherever you are, in whichever condition you are, whether you are healthy or not healthy, whether you are in ICU or you are interacting, you are watching a movie, I am Brahman. That clarity and that is there. And that will give ultimate peace called Parashanti, supreme peace. So that is the spiritual journey called Vedanta. So just wanted to give a brief overview of Vedanta study circle and Atmadarshana program. So now I'm open for questions. Anybody has a question, can please type in any questions about this talk or any questions about your Vedanta study circle or any question, general questions, spiritual question, you can type in the chat box. I'll try to answer if I know. Okay. Yeah, please keep asking questions. I'll see the questions and then start answering. Gayatri, can you stop recording?